Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? All right, so it's the start of a new year, start of a new decade, man. Interesting. That last decade, 2010s, interesting decade, man. I got the privilege to cover that whole decade here on YouTube, man. So, uh, decade number two, man. What is this gonna install for us? We will see. And like I said before, man, I really think that when a decade goes by, man, there's two halves to the decade. You know what I mean? Especially in the heavyweight division. And I brought up the '80s and the '90s and the 2000s. You know what I mean? How the first half can be dominated in one way, like in the '80s, it was Larry Holmes that was dominating. Then that back half of the '80s, it was dominated by Mike Tyson. So I'm curious to see how this first half of the decade is going to play out, man. I look at it in 5 year intervals. You know what I mean? Lawrence Williams was good. Jay Jerk, Mark Blake, Happy New Year to all you guys, man. Before I get to the main subject of the video, which is Wilder Fury having no presser, man. Let me go ahead and address those things I dropped in my community section on my page, and it was the fantasy fights that I put up there. Holyfield versus Sonny Liston, and the other fight was it Holyfield Liston, and I forgot who else I had on there. But let me go ahead and talk about Holyfield Liston first. I forgot the other fight I put up there, but yeah, it was Marciano versus Frazier. All right. Um, but Holyfield versus Liston, in my opinion, all right, it's all hypothetical, but I would favor a Holyfield in that one. I was watching the other day. I went back and I watched Holyfield versus Ray Mercer, and I'm thinking that them fighting would play out in a mixture of the Holyfield Mercer fight and then the Liston versus Cleveland Williams fights. I think it'd be a mixture of something like that. And to me, Holyfield was at his best, man, when people tried to pressure him and come in there and knock him out and get rough with him and all that. To me, that's when he was at his best. His kryptonite was fighting boxer movers, guys like to use jabs. Now, Sonny Liston was known as a menacing guy, had the scowl. He was like the one of the first of the menacing type of heavyweights, no smile, no nonsense type dudes coming there and knock you the fuck out. And he was feared outside the ring. He's like the first of that breed of heavyweights, especially African American heavyweights. Um, but he wasn't necessarily I'm gonna come in there and I'm trying to go out there and just huff and puff and blow the house down type of dude. He would stick behind his jab. He would be patient in some of his fights. Then once he opened you up with that thudding ramrod jab, then he'll come behind that with combinations, try to get you up out of there when he knew that he had you hurt. Um, so I could see some rounds where him busting up Evander, snapping that head back, man, and being patient. But then I think Sonny Liston, just traditionally the way he fights, he would open up sooner or later, and that's why I think Holyfield was what would start to come on, and I think he would control the back half of that fight. Whether they're fighting in a 12 round or 15 round, I think Holyfield would control the back half of that fight and pull out a decision win. Um, but I see it being a close fight based on Sonny Liston's jab and him being able to fight patient. But I think Holyfield will come on strong with combinations and start to put a little bit of pressure on him and start to counter that jab because he started to counter Ray Mercer's jab. Now I know that Liston had a way longer reach than Ray Mercer, but as far as how much power they put in those jabs, Ray Mercer had a hell of a fucking jab himself. You know what I mean? Now Liston had the reach advantage, and I know Holyfield will have problems dealing with guys' reach sometimes. The Lennox Lewis fight, at times the Bo fight when Bo wanted to use his reach, but he would choose to go to war with Holyfield. Um, and I can see Holyfield moving around a little bit and giving Liston some problems. Holyfield did move around a bit in the Riddick Bowe fight. You know what I mean? He would move around when he wanted to, but he knew how to hold on the inside, move around a little bit, and go to war at times. I think he's just a better all around fighter than Sonny Liston. All right. I see you guys coming up in here. I'm gonna address you guys in a minute, man. But I appreciate you guys showing up. And then I wanted to speak on the other fight I put up, which was the Frazier versus Marciano. Now Marciano, man, regardless of who you thought he fought, some people didn't think he fought nobody. Some people don't give him credit for the stars of fights, and they thought he caught Walcott and Charles and Joe Louis when they were old in the tooth. Well, my thing is, you still got to go in there and beat those guys. You dig what I'm saying? Whether you think they're long and Archie Moore, but them guys are still hell of a fighters when they were even aging. You know what I mean? Did he catch them in their prime? No, he didn't. But they were still solid fighters when they're aging. If that's the case, bro, we're not going to give credit to nobody for being anybody because we can go to anybody's resume. The only guy you could probably not dig in his resume like that and pick him apart is Ali because he fought close to everybody when they're damn near at their best. If I can recall, I'm trying to, you probably say caught listing late or something, but damn near everybody when they're at their best, man, to be honest with you. But regardless of him, though, you can go pick apart everybody's fucking resume and say nobody fought nobody. You know what I mean? So, but I will say this though, based on styles, man, Marciano had a one-hitter quitter out of this world, but Joe Frazier had his motor, man, was crazy, and he had a pretty damn good chin. Um, Foreman was only probably one of the hardest punchers in the history of the sport. Was the only guy really to run through him like that. Ali was just speed, accumulation, movement, grit, determination that got him victory and a damn all-time great jab and hand speed at the division. It took all-time great shit to beat Frazier. Just any Joe Blow wasn't in there just beating Joe Frazier. Marciano didn't, sustain the loss. Uh, Man, and the Matthews fight for Marcy. I went back and watched that one as well too. That was a pretty decent win for that time facing that type of opponent. But Frazier, man, I think it kind of like the Corey fight, but Marciano packed more power and he was more flat footed, man. I could see Frazier pushing him back. He naturally outweighed Marciano about what 20, 15 pounds, somewhere around there, 10, 15 pounds. And he just would keep coming, man. And I think he would force Marciano to fight and engage in a high pace type of fight. And I think down the stretch that he would wear out Marciano. I think he'll win the decision. But his one punch KO power always be there, and I think he probably could fucking catch Frazier and drop him. But I think Frazier would get up. I think he'll just outwork him. I think he'll just outwork him, man. But those are my predictions or my thoughts on those hypothetical matchups. Let me see who just dropped up in here. My man Stormy B, man. Happy New Year's, bro. Y'all go subscribe to Stormy B, man, and Lawrence Williams. I see my man Brooklyn Child Boxing up in here. Uh, Happy New Year's to you as well, bro. Arthur Mack, tall, short one. Leo Donald, salute, St. Cruising. D Madreno up in here. Um, so those are my thoughts on that. Now, this month there are a few under the radar heavyweight fights just to keep you guys updated, man. Give you some news you can use. Showtime, January 4th, card in New Jersey. Apti Devtiev. I've done a prospect watch video on him before. Russian fighter. He is taking on Keith Barr. He's 18-0 with 17 knockouts. So it's another opportunity for up and coming heavy-handed heavyweight. Another 6 foot something, 200 something, or 6'5" plus rather 240-pound plus dude to get your attention. You know what I mean? So he needs to go in there and try to put up a vicious type of performance and knockout against Keith Barr. Keith Barr will show him some resistance. Um, but he has to go in there and try to make a statement, man. You got national TV, um, 18-0 with 17 knockouts. So go in there and showcase your power. January 17th, Showtime also going to have Gunnar Christensen. He is a heavyweight out of Iceland. He's 10-0. I've seen him put up footage on his Instagram. He's been in a lot of different camps. And I think that fight is going to be here in the U.S. as well. I forget which city he's hosting that fight, but he'll be on the undercard. I've seen him get sparring in with Robert Helenius and a handful of other heavyweights. Um, who else is fighting this month? Zhonglong Zhang. He is undefeated. I think he's 18 or 19-0 Chinese heavyweight. Not to be confused with Zhili Zhang, the guy that's been mentioned with a few fighters as far as getting a fight. But he's another heavy-handed guy. Just want to see these dudes fight, man. Some of these dudes are getting long in the tooth as well, like Zhonglong Zhang. But do I think he can beat a top 10 guy? No, I don't. You know what I mean? But he's a heavy-handed dude, though. Also, you got Michael Polite Coffee being action January 18th, taking on Brandon Spence. Polite's a guy you guys been asking me about. 8-0, muscle-bound type of heavyweight. Just want to see more of him. You know what I mean? Not really much to go off of as of right now. He's just another undefeated prospect working his way up, man. Fighting journeyman level type of guy. So that's the under the radar stuff. Now let me get to the main topics of the video. Okay, so I'm gonna start with Otto Wallin's promoter saying that they want Dillian White. I seen an article earlier on a boxing scene, and they're talking about that they want Dillian White. Now, ironically, Dillian White had Otto Wallen on his hit list. Now, I came out with a video. Well, Dillian White came out talking about it, and I did a video on it about his hit list, which featured Otto Wallen was on it, Manuel Char, a few other guys that he put up on there. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't mind this fight right now. We're going to see what Wallen is made of, man. Now he put up a good performance on the losing end though with the Tyson Fury fight. He had some bright moments in the fight. He busted Fury up, made him, gave him a cut, a legit cut, punching him, not a headbutt or an elbow. It was off a punch. In most situations, that fight would have been stopped, would have cut that bad. But props to Fury for grinding that fight out at the end with the cut because a lot of guys would have fell apart. So he showed some championship guile, in my opinion, by being able to deal with that cut and win the fight. It wasn't a good performance. Wallen put up some resistance. He was able to work his own combinations in there, even sometimes buzzing and clipping Fury. So he's an interesting southpaw, man. I didn't expect him to perform that well based off just him being a prospect. He's really a guy, y'all, that literally went from fighting journeyman to one of the top heavyweights in the world. There was no in between for him. There wasn't a Marius Wack for him. There wasn't a Robert Helenius for him. There wasn't a fight with like Gerald Washington or Charles Martin there wasn't any of that. It was literally journeyman Tyson Fury, literally. Like, have you guys heard of Nick Kisner? Of course you haven't. You know what I mean? To me, his best win was Adrian Granat, who was a fellow up and coming uh, guy from the same country, ironically, and I was talking about them fighting each other when they're both undefeated. And what's crazy is I picked Granat to knock him out if and when they ever fought. This was back when they were both undefeated. Granat's not undefeated. He lost to Dimitrenko, and he dropped another fight as well. I forget off the top of my head who Granat lost to, but Otto Wallen. It was Otto Wallen. They ended up fighting each other, and Wallen ended up beating him. You know what I mean? So and Granat was back, man, about 2016. He was like in my top five up and coming prospects in 2015. So it's funny how all this has played out thus far. But yeah, Wallen versus White would be a good test. I mean, just to see, was it just a one night wonder? Did Fury have a bad night? Did Wallen really put it on him? I mean, well, obviously he did because the fight took place. But can he carry? Can he add on to this, or was it just a one night wonder? You know what I mean? That's what a lot of us want to see, especially myself, man. Because he, like I said, he literally went from prospect to fighting the top guy. Some people may say, well, Mr. Boxing, what else do you need to know, bro? Like, he just showed you that he belongs in there with the top contenders. Well, let's see again. You know what I mean? In the Dillian White fight, I know Dillian White's trying to, have a fight in the interim as he waits for his awaited WBC title shot. I would like to see him fight some other guys before Wallen. You know what I mean? But if he's not going to fight like a Luis Ortiz, which I really want to see, or Jarrell Miller that I've been wanting to see for about 5 years now, in the interim, then I would rather him fight Otto Wallen than Kevin Johnson type of guy. You know what I mean? Or some shit like that. You know what I mean? So even like Emmanuel Char, Emmanuel Char, I know he has this WBA, whichever little minor title he got the WBA. I think it's the interim joint he got, but or is that does he got the interim or does Trevor Bryan got that? Whatever. No, he has the regular. Okay. Come on, man. Like Manuel Char's not, in my opinion, not a top 10 heavyweight. Not even to me. I would favor Wallen to beat Manuel Char at this stage. You know what I mean? Manuel Char hasn't fought in ages. So let's see. AJ, I've seen some stuff on Boxing Scene with Anthony Joshua saying that if he fought Wilder, that fight would end in, was it 6 rounds or less or something like that. Look, I'd rather AJ speak like that than some of the stuff I've heard him say before. So if he has that type, if that's the confidence that he's putting out there, some people may call it false bravado. Um, but if that's what he's giving to us, if that's what he's giving us, what his opinion is on that, great. That's the opinion you're supposed to have, that you're gonna go in there and knock the guy out. So I'm not gonna knock him for that, man. If that's what he feels. Do I think that will happen? No. If it does end in 6 rounds or less, I'm definitely putting my bet on Wilder by knockout. And he says that in his opinion, strategically, at least what he's saying is you should
Do you know where those AirPods are?
no, probably my bag.
I was in there.
Oh. you have to take Wilder's power away from him. You know what I mean? And he knows that Wilder has concussive type of one punch knockout power. All right, so to me, he said that he wouldn't be scared. He wouldn't run around. So he knows that he would have to fight a different fight versus Wilder that he did Ruiz. But if Ruiz had him nervous to engage, if Ruiz now people may say, well, Mr. Boxing, Ruiz had him nervous to engage on the inside because of the hand speed advantage. Okay, but and he knew that he would get hurt. So knowing that Wilder has concussive one punch KO power, it'd be interesting to see what type of approach AJ would take against Wilder. Would he come and try to get on the inside and fight like the smaller guy, fight in his chest, and put his money on him being the better inside threat than Wilder? I guess we will see, but it would be a pleasure to see how he tries to work his way in on the inside to get to Wilder's chest, being that AJ is not really known for having excellent, great head movement. You know, he's not known for that. That's definitely not what he's known for. So still want to see that fight, man, and hopefully we get it sooner than later. Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. All right, now before I get to the main topic of the video, which is this Wilder Fury not having a presser, who I think it benefits, so on and so forth. Let me go back to the chat, see who else is joined. Seen and unseen boxing was good. He says the heavyweight goat smashed the like button for family. Appreciate that. Mala2243 was good, bro. Big Boys Boxing was good. He says Charles doing a Chagayev. Black Star Sports TV was good, bro. Gear Banging was good. Get This Smoke. Arthur Mack says White still ducking Ortiz. Leo Donald says Marciano had amazing stamina. His footwork was basic, but had some underrated slips and rolls on the inside. Yeah, and he would also, which I thought, depending on who he fought, that leaning over to his right foot, he's standing orthodox, but he like kind of leans over the top of his back foot, which is his right foot. To me, especially fighting a guy with a long reach that really knew how to move and use a jab, he would really be in trouble, man, because he was like right in line for straight right hands, literally. But he would lean back far enough sometimes where he'll give the opponent the impression that I'm right here to hit. But he was really good at that, though, man. But I thought it'd get him in trouble, though. Not Raji was good, man. Lawrence Williams says Coffey did not look good in his last fight versus Grover Young. Yeah, Grover Young is a scrappy. He's a scrappy, one of them scrappy type of journeyman, man. Been there with someone who's who. Stormy B Man says Mr. Boxing Holyfield is my all-time favorite fighter. Shit, I can't blame you, bro. Holyfield's definitely all-time great. I used to, bro. You probably ain't heard my story, Stormy B Man, but guys has been subbed to me over the last 10 years, man. They've heard me talk about the guy who I hated the most, which is your favorite fighter. I hated Evander, man. Man, I hated that dude, bro. It took me till I had to get into like being a grown man to start appreciating him. But growing up as a teenager in them damn mid '90s, and cause I was a huge Tyson fan, bro. So I just hated Evander. I hated him, man. Like I hated the way he, man. I just hated that. I've done countless videos about this, but because I was such a big Mike Tyson fan, I hated him so much, bro. I was rooting for Lennox Lewis, and Lennox was a guy who I loved. I used to love watching Lennox fight, and I think there's a big misconception with a lot of UK fans thinking that all the American fans didn't like Lennox. Now, was it presented like that on HBO, listening to Larry Merchant and all that? Yeah. And with the crowd boo when he would come into the ring? Yeah, but that's just a slight indication. A lot of us did like Lennox Lewis. You know, he started rocking the FUBU trunks. You know what I mean? That identified with us, the African American fan. You know what I mean? Him being in different rap videos and getting accustomed to how things are over here. He was like, to me, I didn't look at it like he's a UK fighter. I looked at it like he was just a Jamaican cat. You know what I'm saying? But I was rooting for Lennox over Holyfield. Whoever fought Holyfield, I was rooting for Holyfield to lose just based on that he whooped Mike Tyson's ass. And I knew he cleanly whooped him too. You know what I mean? So that just stung, man. So I hated Holyfield. But what made me respect him, because he's an all-time great fighter, but what really made me respect him, man, was that second fight with Mike Tyson when he got bit on the ear. Evander Holyfield, a lot of guys would have said, look, the dude bit me, call this fight, man. You know, he would have told his corner to call the fight. They would have found a way to look at the ref like, bro, come on, this dude's biting me. Holyfield just pretty much said a prayer to himself. You could see him praying, mumbling, and he wanted to continue to fight. Mike Tyson robbed him of probably one of the best knockouts that could have happened after something like that happening. Because I think he would have went out there and really put it on Mike. Some people say, "Oh, Mike was mad." Yeah, and that rage and anger would have went down. It would have started weaning out once Holyfield started punching him back in his mouth and bullying him like he did in the first fight. So after I saw that, bro, I was like, "Damn, man, how can you not respect somebody like this, man? Like this dude got bit on the ear, went back to his corner. Yeah, he was jumping up and down like this motherfucker bit me, but he said, "All right, fuck it, motherfucker, let's fight." And when he showed Mike that made Mike even go crazier, in my opinion. Like Mike was like, damn, he still don't want out. Shit. I didn't elbow him. I didn't try to twist his arm in the clinch. I didn't bit his fucking ear. Like, what can I do to get out this fight? You know what I mean? So that really started to make me appreciate Evander, man. But I hated that dude growing up. Lowland Prophets up in here, Jupiter B up in this thing. Right hook boxing. All right, y'all. Let me see. Jupiter B says a problem with fighting Wilder on the inside is Wilder has pretty good uppercuts. Yes, he does. He showed that against Duopa, and he dropped Ortiz in that 10th round with a vicious uppercut. He says, I remember him throwing them up close during the Duopa. Oh, you said it right there. During the Duopa fight. Um, Mala2243 says they should be having as many pressers as possible to get the maximum number of casuals buying the pay per view. It's a fight that should be able to get close to 100,000 buys. The first one was great. Okay, let me get to what I think about this. Who else is up in here? PC Jacob said old Tease was backing up Wilder numerous of times in the ropes, failed to capitalize. Wilder taking a patient strategy for 7 rounds to land that bomb, will playing into AJ's hands, being in the ropes, he's finished. Well, I don't think Wilder would go against the ropes against AJ. You know what I mean? And I'm not 100% confident that AJ will just be this confident, come forward destroyer against Wilder. I just don't see that. If you was on the back foot and wanted to play it safe against a guy like Andy Ruiz, what the hell you think he's going to do when he's in there with somebody that he know, not me and you guessing or having a debate about it, but he knows they can get him out of there with one. And I ain't trying to hear it's heavyweight boxing. Anybody can get anybody out there with one punch. Yeah, but then there's some guys that have a higher chance of getting you the fuck up out of there. And not just getting you up out of there, but really hurting you and putting you on a meme and putting you on some viral clip. And his name is Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? Ortiz, to me, well, yes, he was backing him up. He was backing him up, but there's little subtle things that Ortiz can do in there that Joshua is not good at, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I think Ortiz he slips better. He's a better counter puncher. There's just, they say styles make fights, and I just think his style is a little bit more craftier and for to where Wilder had to figure out what the hell was going on. You know what I mean? But can AJ give him something to where he has to try to figure it out? Possibly. To me, it'd be a jab, if anything. Um, but look, my thing with this Fury Wilder presser is this. I think it benefits Wilder that there's no press conferences. All right. Why? Because you're not, look, when it comes to Tyson Fury, bro, you're not going to beat somebody and out talk somebody that's willing to embarrass themselves to embarrass you. That kamikaze approach, sometimes you just can't beat it, man. Sometimes you just gotta, you know what I mean? Just call a spade, bro. Um, I think Fury has more gift to gab. He's more witty when it comes to saying certain stuff. But when Deontay Wilder talks, I believe what he says. With Fury, you be like, oh, is he joking? No, he's playing around. When it comes to Wilder, I believe the shit he says. Now, Fury may be more entertaining to listen to on the aspect of, he's gonna say something boisterous and outlandish. But when Wilder talks, that shit be sounding cold, calculated, like he means every word that is coming out of his mouth. Every word. It's a more serious tone and vibe when he talks. And that can be entertaining to some people. But when it comes to doing buffoonery and that type, I mean, this dude dressed up like Batman, y'all. You ain't gonna out talk no motherfucker like that. Maybe Ali, you know what I mean? Because Ali was slick and slide. He had, he was just smooth with his shit. His style was just, for me, it was better for my liking. You dig what I'm saying? But his style was better. Some people, some fans love the goofy, over the top, take your shirt off to show how fat you are. That type of shit. To me, that's it's funny, but it's funny in like a, man, that motherfucker crazy type of funny. Like, why the fuck would you do some shit like that? That's Fury. So if you got one guy taking the aggressive, I'm here to knock you out, I'm a king, you know how Wilder talks the things that he says, that can come off as dry to some people, to some fans, that's looking at the other guy that's just, he'll stand up, smack his stomach. Man, Tyson Fury, I wouldn't put none past him, bro. I won't put him pulling down his pants, mooning us. Like, I just wouldn't put nothing past that dude. Um, you know, he's just so like bipolar sometimes, bro. It is more of a like a soap opera ish type of watch when you're listening and watching him. Then he might break down and cry about his addiction and overcoming depression, and then he'll turn around and say he's a bum and he shouldn't fight no more. And then he'll come out and say, "I'm the Gypsy King. I beat everybody. I beat him with one arm. He's a dosser. He's this. He's that." Then he might dress up like Batman. Then you don't know what the hell this dude gonna do. You know what I mean? So in that sense, for him to get out there and show his ass, uh, that's a loss for him. Now, some people say, "Hey, Mr. Boxing, him doing that can draw more attention to the fight." You're right. I do believe that. I do believe that them having pressers, man, can draw more attention to the fight, and I think they should have them because it's something just it's traditional. Now, me knowing the history of them fighting already, knowing how important this fight is, I don't need no damn pressers to tell you the truth. I really don't. But I would love to have some because it'd be more for us to talk about. And Tyson Fury is going to say or do something that's just boisterous and outlandish. You dig what I'm saying? Um, but I do believe the way they have it set up for these guys to be on these bowl games, like doing interviews on these bowl games, because over here in the U.S., like I brought up in plenty live streams recently, that if you guys are outsiders and you're not privy to the bowl games over here and you're not in the know, bowl games are huge. This isn't just a couple 100,000 people watching this or a million or two people. Dude, millions of people are watching these bowl games. I know to you guys, they just look like collegiate athletes running around with a pigskin. I understand that. The Super Bowl is huge over here. I'm sure you guys are privy to that. It's not just grown men running around with a pigskin. Like there's a whole bunch of endorsements for people to get their commercials in during the Super Bowl week, or during as the Super Bowl is going on. Companies pay up into the millions and millions and millions to get 15-second ads. You dig what I'm saying? The whole world is watching. So them being on those type of platforms promoting the fight is going to reach a lot of people. But I think they should use that also with their pressers. You dig what I'm saying? I heard some fans say that maybe Wilder don't want to do it, doesn't want to get sick. Look, nothing in my opinion is win and loss during press conferences. Yes, I do love when guys they interact with each other and I can read the body language when they're in the same room. But I know what it's going to be with these guys. Wilder's going to be serious, mean everything he says, no matter what Fury does or says, and Fury's going to mean what he says, and or he might not. I don't know. The dude is all over the place. You know what I mean? But Fury is crazy, man. But he does have that confidence in himself. He just does it in his own crazy way. You can't make it as far as he has not having some damn confidence in yourself. Now there are situations where you might not be as confident, and you may still overcome those odds. But Fury's just a crazy motherfucker, though, man. He just the dude is crazy. But that's my opinion on it, y'all. And me as a fan, would I like to have pressers? Of course, I would like to have a three-city press tour. If it was just two, you know what I mean? Vegas, where they're going to hold the fight, and probably in the UK to get them riled up or whatever. But then you got to hit New York as well because it's huge media market. So I will be fine with that. You know what I mean? But if they're not going to have it, shit. All we got is wait is what? How far is the fight away?
2 months.
2 months? Shit, man. You know what I mean?
Not even a month and a half.
Yeah. So I ain't tripping, man. Now if this shit was like 4 months away or something, then it'd be like, damn, y'all ain't gonna give us nothing. You know what I mean? But we'll get a lot of you know, uh face offs and There's gonna be little stuff like that that they're gonna give to us. Don't worry. It ain't gonna be like we ain't gonna get nothing and then fight week happens. And y'all gonna have me and other guys like me that love to cover these things. As far as the boxing talk of it, better than these networks, in my opinion, if you ask me. Um, we'll get a lot of coverage of this, man. You know what I mean? But I would love for it to have press tours. But that's my opinion. Let me hear what y'all got to say. Let me go up top, man. Jupiter B says, I agree. Lennox had more love here than I think he did in the UK sometimes. Yeah, and I also got a pic that I was going to use as my screensaver for my channel, but just ended up going with my face. But it's a picture of my dad and Lennox back in like 93. So, man, been fans of Lennox, but shit, man. And this is why I have no problem with people supporting their countrymen. But when if and when Lennox got in there with the Holyfields and Tysons and all that, yeah, we're gonna pull for our dudes. But that didn't mean that we hated Lennox. We used to love watching Lennox fight. You know what I mean? Lennox gave us some great Saturday nights, man. PC Jacobs, okay, I read that. Stormy B Man says absolutely, Mr. Boxing. I saw all of this early in his career, especially when he faced Kwawi, and that was a man, that was a crazy fight right there, bro. Holyfield ended up losing like 15 pounds in that fight, man. That was a damn bore, and he did that early. And sometimes you couldn't, sometimes you can't expect a guy only have 11 fights to be able to go in there and fight that type of fight that Kwawi put him in hell, man, and he was able to slay him. You know what I mean? Hey, let me go back to this, y'all, because I'm just looking over some notes here. I don't know if I brought this up, but January 18th, to go back to the under the radar stuff before I get back to these comments, uh, you're gonna have Peter Cadero. He's a German heavyweight, 22 years old, 6-0. He will be back January 18th. And Ali Demarizen, the guy who I thought gave FA a jag, but I still think he gave a jag in one of his toughest fights. But now I think he gave him his second toughest fight based on what Ligo Kalazi was able to do with the jag by knocking him down. But Ali Demarizen, the guy that went the full distance with a Jagba and was winning some rounds against the Jagba, who's no longer undefeated, but he was an Olympian. He'll be back in action January 18th as well on the same card with Peter Cadero. Okay. All right, now back to this. Uh, Leo Donald says I need to check out Evander on Joe Rogan's podcast. I'll definitely check that out, man. Not Roger says I hope Fury tries them all Wilder. That'd be 2 round fight. Scrapbook Boxing says okay. He's saying what's up to Lowland Profits. Neutral Natural up in this thing. St. Cruiser says Deontay might take out AJ in 1 round. Uh, Jupiter B says backing up Wilder was how Wilder lured Ortiz into a trap. PC Jacob says, didn't Lennox do that with Tua? Styles make fights. If you think AJ uses the same style, haha. Yes, Lennox chose to use the jab, not engage with Tua, wrap him up on the inside. He fought a big man fight. You know what I mean? Um, but I've also seen AJ be the aggressor, come forward guy, and get knocked the fuck out or get knocked down and dominated 4 times. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I've seen him get knocked on his ass by Klitschko as well with a right hand. So you know, it is what it is, man. But yeah, styles do make fights. Seen and Unseen Boxing says, keep killing King for sure, man. I'm definitely on top of that. CB Sports TV was good, bro. Y'all go subscribe to CB Sports TV. Stormy B, man. Also, my man, Big Boys Boxing. Big Boys Boxing says, no presser definitely benefits Wilder. He loses every verbal exchange with Fury, and Wilder gets emotional since Wilder, or hence Wilder head hunting in the first fight. Um, okay. I agree with some of that, man. I don't think he gets too emotional. Well, shit. I mean, yeah, emotions are high, man. When you got two guys want to go in there and bust each other up, uh, you know, Tyson has a gift of gab. You see him in the WWE. The dude does have a mouthpiece. I can't sit here and pretend. And if they're going to go back and forth, I think he would. Like I said, he's just more willing to embarrass himself to embarrass you. And when you're going against somebody like that, uh, it just comes off just more crazy, zany, and comical. And Wilder's not the comical type. Let me see here. St. Cruz says, I think pressers would just help sell the fight. I'm surprised. Yeah, I think they should have them, bro. So I'm totally on one accord with that. Mala2243 says Fury is funny and does help market the fight. They should be going all out at the pressers, do the marketing to maximize the dollars. I agree. Jupiter B says I think Wilder can hold his own during verbal exchanges, but he don't need to do it as much as Fury does. Fury needs to talk himself up. Yes, I do think part of Fury's game is talking and getting that talk going to start believing in himself. Ali would do the same thing. I'm not saying that they're the same fighters, you know what I mean, but I'm just saying he would do the same thing, say things to hype himself up, to get himself mentally going, to start believing the shit that he's saying. And as long as he believes it, that's all a fighter needs. A fighter don't really need me and you to believe anything. As long as they start believing I'm the best, I'm the king, I'm the true warrior of the division. Wilder thinking he's a king, Fury thinking he's a gypsy king. Just, you know what I mean? Like Wilder really thinks he's an this like African warrior type bronze bomber character. You know what I mean? And if that can get him to a point where he's knocking 99% of the motherfuckers out, hey man, keep talking that talk then. If Fury needs these crazy antics and things all to get him where he is, keep doing it. If Anthony Joshua needs to be philosophical in every interview and all the, the way he talks, keep doing it. If Dillian White really thinks that people are scared of him, they don't want to fight him, and it gets him where he mentally needs to be, keep doing it. I'm all about keep doing whatever got you here. Don't mean that I'm gonna believe what you say, but if that can get you, you know what I mean, uh, to the point where you think you need to be mentally, man, shit, keep doing what you have been doing. When they do a gloves are off, PC Jacob says Fury going to let Wilder have it verbally. This is just added fuel. Well, I want to hear his comebacks for and not just I rose, like a phoenix from the ashes. Okay, but yes, you did, bro, but you still got knocked on your back twice. And you didn't get up at the count of three and all that shit. Both counts, I think he got up right at 9 on both counts. You know what I mean? And this is somebody that said, self proclaimed that he was knocked unconscious. And he just happened to wake up in time to get up and beat the count. Um, and then your last outing was rough, man. You got, busted up. Like, Fury isn't coming in on on some high note, man. You know what I mean? Styles make fights, though, but I can't wait to see them verbally, get into an exchange and see what both fighters have to say while looking at each other, especially that close. Chris Tien says, "Who you got winning the Super Bowl, Mr. Boxing?" I got the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson MVP. That may happen. I just think the Ravens going to have some type of hiccup. I'm going for the Vikings. God damn it, go Vikes. You know what I mean? Uh, St. Cruzan says, "How can you not have pressers?" Yeah, bro. I agree. Um, Max Thunder says, hopefully top rank in PBC put some heavyweight fights on the card like Kanowski versus Brazil and Takam versus Caballero. Well, Max Thunder, I don't know if you seen my video, bro, but that's the number one fight I want on the undercard is Kanowski versus Brazil. So we're definitely in concert on that topic. You also throw Washington versus Martin up in there and a few other fights, man. But yeah, I actually did a video the other day about it that I think there should be all heavyweights on this. And people actually came to the video and got mad. There's a few commenters up in there, man. Your dish, because I called it the booger weights. Now, obviously, y'all know that I have respect for the lighter weight classes. You know what I mean? Some of the best fighters of all time have been featherweights and welterweights and lightweights and all that type of thing. So obviously, I know this. But on this particular card, I want to see a Don King style, Eddie Hearn style of undercard featuring heavyweights. If you don't like that, I don't care. You know what I mean? People kill me, man. Well, I don't like your opinion. Well, just leave your opinion about the fights you want to see on there. I'm not disrespecting those guys. Well, am I disrespecting because I call them booger weights? Come on, man. Quit acting soft, man. For guys to be into the most hardcore, ruggedest fucking sport you can compete in, we got some soft ass fans, man. But anyways, St. Cruzan says Lennox Lewis was a great fighter. Yeah, period. Definitely agree with that. Mala2243 says, I don't see the pressers as being about giving advantage to either fighter. To me, they are a way to boost way to boost the profile and maximize dollars. Well, bro, I do think there is always a mental warfare. I'm a big believer in that, bro. So I slightly disagree on that, and I do think pressers do give one guy, in at least an advantage in that department. Now, the total grade will be given out on fight night. You know what I mean? But I do think there are some things because I thought Wilder. I don't know who said it, who comment I just read a little earlier, but they were saying that Wilder went out to headhunt, and I do think Wilder let some of the shit Fury was saying to him, want him to get in there and really get him up out of there quick. You know what I mean? And to me, man, bro, I really think that Fury, if there was any opportunity for him to school Wilder and beat Wilder up and all that, I really think it was that first fight. Because I think Wilder is the one that can fight a better fight. Now, I know what you're gonna say with Mr. Boxing. Wouldn't you think a guy not being knocked down, him going to the next fight not being knocked down would be fighting a better fight? Not necessarily. I just think all the opportunities were there for Fury to really have a runaway victory. Some people thought he did have a one away victory, but I don't. But the opportunities there to counter Wilder when Wilder was being more aggressive than he usually is in his fights. Um, just having a Wilder in front of you that isn't really accustomed to fighting like that. To me, the perfect opportunity was right there, man. And I think Fury fought the best that he could fight against Wilder, in my opinion. But we gonna see in the rematch. You know what I mean? We definitely gonna see in the rematch. I think Wilder's the one that can fight a better fight by relaxing, and he may still lose rounds, but in the manner of how the fight is going to play out. Um, and then based on what Fury just did against Wilder, man, I mean, we gonna see. We definitely gonna see, man. Leo Donald says Cabello needs to get active. I agree. Urine Carter was good. He says, I don't care if they don't meet till the weigh-in. Wilder gonna stop Fury bad. Ottawa Leon, what's good, bro? He says, Happy New Year, bro. Peace and blessings to you and your family. I definitely appreciate that, man. And the feeling's mutual. Let me see here. Imagine, PC Jacob says, imagine Wilder being patient for 7 rounds, letting AJ land that same right hand that bust Ruiz's eye. Wonder how he will respond. Great fight. Well, I do agree that it would be a great fight. But I think if anything, he'll patiently wait, especially if AJ really isn't doing anything himself. If he's nervous and sitting on the outside and pawing with the jab and throwing half-hearted right hands. But I think if Wilder senses danger, I think he'll start punching that dude back with right hands. And it's not. And look, bro, it's not that Wilder in some of those fights wasn't landing right hands. He just wasn't landing the one that just got motherfuckers up out of there. If you look at some of like Ortiz took a series of right hands before he ended up getting knocked the fuck out. Fury was getting hit with some right hands before he got before he got knocked down badly. So it's not that guys aren't taking right hands. It's just when the proper one lands, he gets you up out of there. So shit, it's not like AJ's gonna go unscathed, bro. You know what I mean? He is gonna get hit with some type of right hands. Remember Brazil uh before he got what's that punch called? The Falcon punch that I seen on some video game or some shit I seen my kids was watching. But look, you want to get hit. And I want to see how he just deals with getting hit by any right hand from Deontay Wilder, let alone the one that'll put him down, whichever one that's going to be. But Brazil he got clipped with a few good right hands before he got hit with the Falcon punch. You know what I mean? Look at this dude. He says, "So you plan on judging the verbal exchanges now, bro? It's boxing talk. Boxing talk, bro. And you plan on coming to my channel hating? Get your hating ass up out of here, man." What about everything else I just broke down? All the prospect watch stuff, the under the radar stuff I just went over. What about the mythical matchups with, you know what I mean? Frazier and Marciano I just talked about. What about the Holyfield listen thing I just talked about? What about all that? You have no see, this is what I'm saying about haters, y'all. You talk about style breakdowns, mythical matchups, the history, jabs, feints, how they gonna use this, pull counters, ain't got shit to say. Soon as it's a wilder topic, here comes the hate. Haters, man. I know. You just joined the chat and you missed all of that, right? Fuck out of here. Man, I hate a hater, man. Anyways, Tyrone Smith says no booger weights. Yeah, bro. And and Sweet Pea is one of my favorite non-heavyweights of all time, bro. You know what I mean? So when I say that, man, that's in no way to downplay great fighters from smaller weight classes, bro. But come on, man. Like, I want me an all heavyweight card, this one, man. Jupiter B says the fight is selling itself. Why waste time on it? Wilder profile is obviously on the incline. If anything, Fury needs it for his profile. That's why he's on social media every day. Well, I think every fighter should take advantage of social media. I mean, we are in the social media era, and this is the era, bro, where you don't need Ring Magazine. You don't need uh, Boxing Digest and KO Magazine and all the magazines that a lot of us old heads grew up running down to the corner store and to our local gas station to get on two, or at least here it was Tuesdays, of every Tuesday of the month. You know what I mean? Now it's literally you could be laying in your bed, pick up your damn tablet, your phone, your whatever, and you your own. You can promote yourself. You know what I mean? So I think every fighter should take advantage of that. And this is another thing I want to talk about, man. I just kind of noticed this because sometimes when you're getting older, not that I'm some old man, but 40 is right around the corner for me. And I just thought about, man, like some of my viewers are like in their 20s, bro. So in some of our viewers, if you are a boxing upload, boxing guy on here talks about the fights, especially as long as I have on here, I've been doing it for 10 years. Some of our listeners, bro, have been like listening to us when they were teenagers. So they grew up listening to Blood Boxing, 78 Sports TV, D Style Boxing, Mr. Myself, you know what I mean? Dante's Boxing News, Ego, all of us, right? Just think, bro, when we were all those guys I just named are at least around my age or older than me. So we grew up on Ring Magazine and listening to what Larry Merchant had to say during fights and all that type of shit, and Howard Cosell and all that, right? But the social media era of fans that were coming up through this, listen to us. That's crazy how everything played out, man. You know what I mean? We grew up listening to, Bert Sugar and listening to his or reading his pieces in Ring Magazine and stuff like that, man. So it's funny how just everything has changed to like social media and the age of technology and all that, man. So it's just funny. I just thought about that earlier today. Let me see here. Hey y'all don't have to delete y'all don't have to delete my man Big Nick. There wasn't no run on. Hey, me and Big Nick, we're not going to agree on everything, but nah, y'all don't delete Big Nick. But Big Nick says Fury can get better, can add a bit more power to his arsenal, but I don't think his improvement would be drastic. However, he is already good enough. Wilder can get a lot better boxing wise, but just won't. Okay. I don't, look, I don't have no problem with Big Nick saying that. That's his opinion. It ain't nothing. He ain't coming on no racist shit or no where he ain't keeping it about boxing. I mean, that was his boxing comment. You know what I mean? So I'm good with that. I think some of you guys are hitting some people's side their head. Just I don't think y'all really meaning to do it because some of these are just normal boxing comments. Let me see. Urine Carter said, I think some of you guys are being deleted on accident, man, because some of these are just sound like normal boxing comments. Uh, Swirl says Wilder doesn't want Fury getting in his head, so no pressers. If Wilder wins by KO, there won't be another rematch, in my opinion, and AJ versus Wilder will be next, hopefully. Well, I'm not sure why exactly Wilder doesn't want pressers. Um, I'm really not sure, and I'm not sure Wilder would necessarily articulate it the way you did, as far as saying I want him to get into my head. Maybe I guess that's a way of saying it, but maybe Wilder's like, man, I don't need no damn pressure. I'm just focused on knocking the dude the fuck out. I don't want to be in his face. I don't want to show him no signs of nothing, not being his friend. Not I don't even want to hear from him. When we see each other, it's gonna be at the weigh-in. That's when we'll see each other. And usually, I'm sure Wilder, they're gonna have that, that like that final press conference that Thursday they usually have it, and then they have the weigh-in on Friday. So they're gonna have to see each other there. I would think so, because they make their grand arrivals. You're gonna have to make your grand arrival at the MGM. So they're definitely gonna have to see each other face to face eventually. But I think Wilder just probably just I really don't know. I would want to rather hear from him to see what's going on. You know what I mean? But on the outside looking in, he may look at it like, man, I don't need to hear nothing from this dude. Max Thunder says, Mr. Boxing, what is your opinion on Usyk versus Chisora? Before I get to that, Max Thunder, let me go ahead and show some acknowledgement to the person that appreciate what I'm talking about. My man Renique 313, he says, salute Mr. Box today. I appreciate that, bro. What it do? Or you out there 313. So should I rather say, what y'all say out there in Detroit? What up though? Let me see here. Now back to what Max Thunder was talking about. Uh Let me see. Max Thunder was asking me about what? Oh, he's asking me about Usyk versus Chisora. Man, well, I know Chisora's gonna put up some resistance. I just want to see how Usyk deals with that type of pressure in a real heavyweight fight. I understand he fought at the super heavyweight division in the World Series of Boxing. I totally understand. I know he has good movement. I know he has good hand speed and all that, but Chisora, if there's one thing he can do, he may not be the best heavyweight. I know he has a multitude of losses. I know all that, but he will bring some pressure to you that you're going to have to deal with. And it's just how is Usyk going to deal with it. And once he's stuck in heat, and I do think he's going as good as head movement he has, I do think he's going to absorb some type of punishment, whether it's to the body. I want to see how he deals with these overhand left and rights and these hooks and all this body work and pressure that Usyk is going to bring. Gassia, some people may say, but Mr. Box, look how he dealt with Gassia. But Gassia was literally waiting, and he's a hard puncher, very good left hook, but literally waiting for Usyk to get off. Then he would try to get off. Chisora would do that sometimes, but then I do think that he will bite down and start punching with you. You know what I mean? But I think Usyk will use some of what Hay was doing against him, some of what Caballero was doing against him. I think he'll turn and burn and out hustle, have better precision, and be a more accurate puncher than Chisora. And I think he'll win a decision. St. Cruisin says an all heavyweight card works for me. Ortiz versus any top fighter is semi main. I wouldn't mind that as well. I know somebody actually brought this up, and I was actually thinking about this, bro, and I just forgot to talk about it. But I know when you get knocked out, you got to sit out for. I'm not sure how. Isn't it like a couple months, or would he be able to come back in time to be on that card? I'm not sure. I forget about that. Or is that just in the amateurs that you have to do that? I forget, man, because a lot of these journeymen shit, they be getting knocked out every other weekend. I'm not trying to be funny, but some of these journeymen that be fighting everybody, all the damn prospects and all that shit, they be coming back literally within weeks. I guess is so. Is it just depend on just the state you're in, or I don't know. I think that's more like amateur rules, though, bro. Garugara, man, he said, Fury looks off to me, man. He has that coke head stare he used to have when he was inactive for a few years. Uh, Stormy B Man brought up a great point. He says, I call that fighting from behind. When a guy punches second all the time, you need to get off first. Tom Lindbergh says, without Fury, heavyweight would be boring. I definitely don't agree with that comment at all. How can the heavyweights be boring when you have guys that have explosive KO power and bring an interest to the, especially, bro, Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder is still the hottest topic by far. Anthony Joshua versus Fury will bring up a lot of commenters. Look, if all the YouTube dudes made two videos today, two videos, I don't care what channel it is, whether it's a channel like mine or it's IFL TV or it's anybody, right? You bring up two videos a day. Do a video about, or actually do three videos. Do a video about AJ versus Fury, the Wilder Fury rematch, or AJ versus Wilder, and I guarantee you, I'm willing to bet, I guarantee you, the one that gets the most traction is going to be Wilder versus Joshua. It just turns the internet upside down when it comes to boxing talk, bro. Jupiter B, bro, that's crazy because me and my wife was looking at that the other day. I don't know who you're talking to. Maybe you're talking to me, but it's funny that you said this comment. You says AJ knocked out better comp or did the ref wave fights off? Hard to assess considering how he got his KOs. I was watching his KO package on YouTube here. I forgot what channel I would want to give them credit, but I forgot what channel it was on. But they had like all his KOs. Some of his KOs were just nasty knockouts, but a lot of them joints, bro. A lot of them joints was like the ref stepping in, and not to say that he wasn't going to eventually stop the guy. Okay, so I'm not saying that the ref, that Paul Butland had a chance to beat him or Dennis Bachtoff was right there in the fight and the ref ripped him off. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying though, a lot of those stoppages, the guys were on their feet. There was one where the guy was actually fighting them back. There's a lot of his KO, TKO wins where the guy wasn't fully out. Guys were like just getting ready to beat the count. There was guys still on their feet that was being stopped kind of weird. Then he did have some vicious one, like the one against Kevin Johnson was nasty. Now he did have some nasty ones, but a lot of them joints were like, or the Takam fight, or even Vladimir. I thought Vladimir with that one, bro, you didn't know Vladimir still had one more good punch in him because AJ started to breathe hard when he was trying to stop him at the end. And a lot of those punches didn't even land that he stopped that when the fight got stopped. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of his fights where you just like, man, I don't. And then you compare that to Wilder's KO package, man, he got dudes going to sleep. Now there are some fights like the Do Up a fight where he was necessarily down, but a majority of Wilder's clips were dudes literally, dude, bro, dudes in the splits position going to sleep, dudes convulsing on the floor, dudes leaving out neck braces, dudes head slamming into the canvas. I mean, like movie like shits, man. So to me, there's definitely a difference in power, in my opinion. Not to say AJ doesn't have. Now this is comparing him to the top of the top, man. I'm not comparing him to Joe Blow. I'm comparing him to the top of the top with power, man. So definitely a difference in my opinion. But you know, you had guys like Charles Martin, you know, trying to beat the count and all that type of thing, man. And um, his stoppages just look different than Wilder's. Okay, Jupiter says even Ortiz has more KOs than TKOs. I was comparing him to Ortiz. I was saying not sure who hits harder. Uh, Andrew Robeson says, how do you rate David Hayes' power at his peak compared to Joshua? Man, Hay has some cracking power, man. You know what I mean? Pretty good power, but I will put AJ in front of him. I think he's a more devastating puncher. But Hay has some sneaky, fast type of power shots where he'll throw a combination and probably Hay's third punch of his four punch combination to be the punch that really rocks you. You know what I mean? Whereas Joshua, everything is thrown to get you up out of there. It's just which one is going to catch you, get you up out of there. Where I think Hay set up his shots better and disguise which shot he wanted to be the shot that really try to catch you. You know what I mean? Fabisi says comparing anyone's power to Wilder is going to look like that though. The guy has legendary power. AJ is definitely what you would call a puncher, nonetheless. Yeah, definitely a puncher. Renee Salcido says had Wallen been cut, they would have stopped it. Talking about the Fury fight. Actually, I was just that fight was playing in the background. I don't know if y'all heard it, but yeah, that fight was playing in the background. Now the what fight it just popped up on my Apple TV? Fury versus Chisora, the second fight. Let's see here. Garugara says Wilder has more power. He could KO AJ, but I don't think he could take AJ's shots the way Ruiz did. To me, it's a 50-50 fight. Whoever lands the first bomb. Jupiter B says, I'm not saying AJ isn't a big puncher. He is. And slimming could help him with his snap. Just saying I'm not sure if he's number two with power or three. He's definitely will get you out of there though. Um, yes, Big Boys Boxing. That's I spoke on that a little earlier too, bro. He says Wallen's team has expressed interest in a white showdown in April. Could be interesting. Yep, I touched on that a little earlier when I did this video. Roughhouse Boxing TV salute. He says Joshua lacks the one punch power that Wilder has. I'm curious how many of AJ's stoppages are TKOs versus real KOs. Yeah, bro. If you go on YouTube, you can look up his knockout, his KO and TKO package. I forgot what channel does that. There's a few channels, but one channel really put those things together well. I forgot the name of it, man. But you can look at his KO package here on YouTube. And like I said, a lot of them were like guys still swinging back and the ref stepped in. A few of them were guys trying to beat the count. Um, wasn't necessarily knocked out or nothing, but you could tell they didn't really want no more like Charles Martin trying to, time the count and beat it to jump up and say, hey, I beat the count. I got up at 9.999, all that type of thing. Uh, like a few of them, the guys were still aware. The ref stopped it. You know what I mean? But Big Boys Boxing says, I still want to see Jermaine Franklin versus Himi Hio on that Wilder versus Fury undercard. I think it's a good matchup for both. Yes, it'd be a good style matchup. Franklin is a guy with quick hands. He likes to stay in his ground. He's a subtle guy defensively, likes to counter. Um, and Ahio, you don't have to go looking for him. He's gonna come right to you, and he wants to land a big left hook. So I think style wise, it'd be a good fight. Both guys will be fighting for something. What is that? Undefeated record and recognition, and try to step up. You know what I mean, and try to get their name up there. So definitely two guys when you're fighting for something, man. That's why I don't mind these prospects fighting each other when they're undefeated, man. I know a lot of people say with Mr. Boxing, that's not how boxing is ran. They want to get the most out of their prospects and get them up to that 24-0, 25-0 title eliminator type of fight. And I understand that. But sometimes it's good to test that guy, especially if you see a future in the guy, even if he takes an L. And fights like that need to happen, man. You know what I mean? Just watched one the other day when Tommy Morrison fought um, Ray Mercer. You know what I mean? Or even nowadays when you got guys like Dillian White and AJ. Once upon a time, they were just undefeated up and coming guys. You know what I'm saying? So I like seeing fights like that, man. Shit, Daniel Dubois, Nathan Gorman got it on undefeated. There's a lot of fights like that happen. Ali Demariz, a former Olympian, I knew he was going to give F.A. Jaguar some problems. F.A. Jaguar was undefeated, so those types of fights are needed sometimes, man. L Dog says a Jaguar will learn from his fights. What will Dubois learn from blowing out his opponents in 1 to 4 rounds? You got to mix styles up for your prospects so they can learn how to deal with different problems. Well, I do think he did have one problem, and that was just to know how to deal with a slippery guy in Kevin Johnson. What do you mean by slippery, Mr. Boxing? The guy that knows how to roll with punches, wrap you up, knows how to survive, knows how to stall out time, knows how to keep distance between you and him. Uh, can bend the rules and use them to his advantage to stay in the ring, shit like that. So he didn't overexert himself or look sloppy in that fight. I think he just learned how to stick behind his jab and try to land what he can. And if a points victory comes out, then he'll roll with that. So I do think that was a learning curve. Now I know what type of learning curve you're talking about. You're talking about a learning curve like the Kiladze fight, right? Where you might get dropped, you might lose some rounds. The guy's coming back, tagging you up in the face and backing you up. Now I do think Richard Larte was another learning curve for Dubois, not to the extent that Kiladze was for a Jagba, but in the sense that he did get hit back with some good left hooks. He did get punched back in the face, and he did make Dubois have to reset a few times in that fight before Dubois settled down and got him up out of there. You know what I mean? Even the Ali Demareezan was another learning curve for a Jagba. But I understand what you're saying, and say, hey man, sometimes we're putting these guys in here with guys that we perceive is going to give them a some type of learning experience. Sometimes they go in there and just pass those they passed those tests with flying colors, man. Because we thought that Nathan Gorman was going to do that, and he went in there and got Gorman up out of there quick. Got him up out of there pretty impressively. You know what I mean? Big Nick says, I really like Michael Hunter. I feel people will overlook him, and I think he beats a lot of heavyweight contenders and prospects. I totally agree with that. Totally. BC says, this is why my man BC, he says, well, first BC says, I feel for Jagba because fans are irrational and don't respect the boxing development of prospects. Then he also said, this is why they insist that prospects move up too quickly. Definitely appreciate my man, see my man BC up in here. Um, I agree, big boys boxing. A Jaguar versus Martin would go down well on that card too. I would love to see that one. Jupiter B says he thinks that F.A. Jag was getting the best experience so far as an opponent. I definitely think now whether this is self-inflicted, him just you know not being ready for the top yet. So I know how you're looking at it, but some people may look at it like, nah, man, this is proving that he ain't that good. But you know what's going to really give us the answer? The test of time. We're going to eventually see, are these things like the Demareezan fight, like the Keladze fight, are these telltale signs showing us that a Jag was not ready? Or are these things that's helping him along his way to get him polished? I'm leaning more towards us getting him polished because if Demareezan could have beat him, he just would have beat him. If Keladze would have just finished some guy that had no chin, he would have just finished him. So I think it is him polishing up, but we'll see though. You know what I mean? I got a lot of hope in the Jaguar, man. So I guess we'll see. See, like PC Jacobs, he think he's coming from the standpoint that he think that the Jaguar has a dodgy chin. All right, y'all. My phone is on 4%, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump off this. I appreciate you guys showing up, man. My first video of the year on the first day of the year. Second decade for me, man, doing videos on here on YouTube. Like I said before, man, I'm the only guy on here that I know of that covered the heavyweight division um, the way I covered it, from prospects all the way up to the popular guys of the division, whatever year it was in the 2010s. I was the only guy doing it, man. So towards the end of this decade, a lot of channels have came in and they're starting to talk about the heavyweight division more, even dedicating their channel to just talking about heavyweight. So it's good to see that there's more channels like that coming in the 2010 or these I'm sorry, the 2020s So heavyweight division is where it should be, in my opinion. Um, I know like Devin Haney and Lomachenko and Tank Davis, all them cats is doing their thing in their division. You know what I mean? The welterweights doing their thing, man. But to me, heavyweight is king. And there are some few non-heavyweight fights I want to see. Like I said, like with Haney and all them guys. Obviously, I want to see my man Crawford and Spence get it on. I want to see Crawford fight any of the PBC welterweights. To be honest with you, you know what I mean? Um, but nonetheless, heavyweight is king, man, and I'm looking forward to this second decade of covering the heavyweight division on YouTube, man. But until next time, y'all be easy. I'm gone.